Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's the My Game show with me, Kirsty Ames.
Pleasure to be on your show, Kirsty.
You're welcome, and of course, I'm joined by the marvelous Mike Ames. How are you doing today, Big Mike?
Fabulous, actually. Apart from the fact that Mrs. Ames has gone out to play golf, and I've had the ADT man come here and ringing the bell and come in, and I'm doing like work and stuff. It's been a bit hectic, I've got to be honest with you, but that's not Mrs. Ames's fault. I just want to make that clear.
I'm glad that you made that clear early as well. You know, there's no one's messing about you. You've been married a while now, haven't you? You know how this goes. You know how it goes. Yeah. I'd say I'm still feeling a little bit delicate after my best friend got married on Monday, so I'm still a little bit. Let's use the word dozy.
Okay, not recovered just yet, but I tell you, you were a fabulous chief bridesmaid. But look, people haven't come to listen to us rabbit on, have they really? They've come because they want to know that. The 6 tips to boost the acceptance rate of LinkedIn invitations.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about this today. So, I mean, some people might think that this is because I believe it was March this year, LinkedIn changed it so that you could only invite 100 people a week to invite to connect. And I have to say, I didn't know that limit existed. And 100 people still seems like a lot, Mike.
Yes, I've never got anywhere near that. To me, this isn't about kind of just inviting loads of people to connect. That's not what it's about for me. Everybody that I want to everybody I invite to connect, I want to be connected with, because I want them to come. I know this is going to sound a bit poncy now, but I'm going with it. I want them to come on a journey with me. No, I do. From when we first connect all the way through until we can help each other, we can do business together. And so everybody I choose, I want to be a client. I want everyone to connect with me. And then some people will go on the journey, some people won't. But that's what I want. So it's about making sure that the people I have selected to connect with me. That's the deal right there.
Yeah, that's a great, and Nikki made a really good point there. It's about quality, not quantity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When you're doing that, we want to make sure that the people that we are requesting are accepting us, which is what we're going to focus on today. But before we get into that, I'm going to ask everybody who's watching, if anybody out there has any tips that they have that have increased their acceptance rates that you want to share with everybody else who's watching, please let us know by popping them in the comments. And even if you're watching this on record, please let us know in the comments, because we think that, you know, everybody out there is probably combined considerably smarter than we are. So we're going to show you what we know, but please share with us what you know as well.
There is saying nobody is as clever as everybody in the room. And I think on social media, that's a million times more true.
Exactly. So before we get started, Mike, in the post that you advertised this LinkedIn Live on, you mentioned that what we're about to be talking to comes from research that you've done. What's all that about? What's that about, Mike?
Okay, so this stems from the fact that I was averaging between 20 and 30% acceptance rates. And like I said, I only invite people that I really want to be connected with. I don't just randomly invite a load of people. I'm not into that space at all. I'm very much of the Nicky Larkin approach, quality, not quantity. So it occurred to me that if I could figure out a way to increase that, then that would be well worth doing. So we did a whole bunch of different research. Effectively what we did, I've still got the spreadsheet actually, I was looking at it this morning. We did a load of different types of invitations. So we started with just the default LinkedIn message, just let that go through. I think from memory, that was about 12% connection rate in those days, all the way through to kind of interacting with people before the invitation and all points in between. And we got different rates of acceptance consistently based upon the things that we were doing. Now, that's not exhaustive. So it was just me with the people I was targeting. Your figures might be different, but I think it's really important to recognize that there are things that you can do which will boost your connection rates. And some of the things that we're going to talk about today will do that. They're based on psychology, many of them. So I think you'll be interested in them. Hope so anyway. Be interesting as well if you try them out. Post on here the results that you get. That'd be awesome.
That would be amazing. Yeah. Okay. So we've had a couple of things come in. So Karen said that one of her ways of increasing connection rates is adding a job link to an invite.
Okay. Particularly, I would imagine if someone's looking for a job, I would think.
Yeah, I was going to say, if someone's available, I think that would make a big difference. Yeah, so that's a good idea. And then Adrian, who unfortunately is not watching live with us today, but he said it's giving in the recording. Hi. He said the key for him is showing a good reason to connect.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that we're going to come across again. If you've kind of joined in a bit later, if you do have any tips that work for you that have increased your rate, please let us know in the comments. Now, we're about to get into these 6 things because I know that's what everybody was here to see. But as we go through, if you have any comments, if you have any disagreements, if you think things may not work for you, or if you've tried things out and they have, please let us know. Mike loves a bit of discourse, don't you, Mike? You like the drama, don't you? It's all about the drama for you.
I do. It is all about the drama. Okay, let's start with the first one, which is fairly innocuous and like everybody says it, but you can't ignore it because the research on this is very, very clear. And it's this really. Let me just bring this up for you, right? When someone invites you to connect on LinkedIn, and just think what you do when someone invites you to do, you go look at their profile, or at the very least, you'll be able to see by the invitation exactly what they look like. Their shot will come up and their headline or part of their headline will appear as well. And usually that's a split-second decision. You either accept, turn down, or sometimes I think I'll need to know a little bit more. I'll go and have a look. So I did it this morning. Someone invited me to connect. And her picture looked okay, nice, well-shot picture. She didn't look like she was going to try and stitch me up or pitch to me immediately. Well, how do you know? But the headline was pretty innocuous. And when I went through, I'm thinking she's probably going to want to sell to me, and I don't really want to buy what she's selling. So it was a no. And that is very common, is that headline. So the headshot, it's just a good quality headshot. So you would know about this because well lit, I presume. And
well lit, make sure that people can see your face, so not too far away. I did once, my favorite shot I've ever seen is somebody on a ring, like a blow up ring in a pool with 2 beers in their hand like that, which I still think is I wanted to accept him. I did deep down, but I figured no. But yeah, like you don't have to necessarily be massively dressed up. You don't have to have a massively interesting background, but just someone who can see your face and, smile in it. Smiling makes a big difference in pictures. Now, with the headline, Mike, a lot of people out there and a lot of the research, a lot of what I've seen written about this is that you're supposed to use keywords in your headline. Is that something that you agree with?
That depends really whether you want to be found on a search. So I'm not in that place. So I don't want to be found really. I want to find people. I want to be the person that instigates the relationship really. Okay, we get a lot of referrals these days because of LinkedIn, but they all know what they're coming to because it says very plainly in my headline, I'm the scalability guy. That's me really. And if you dig deeper, then that's what I'm all about. So I think having a headline for me, which isn't about being found on a search, what it's about is being a compelling description of what I do and who I work with. Now, there are lots of different formats. You can Google headlines. If you Google ideal headlines, a lot of them are American and therefore they don't really work so well in the UK. Yeah, no offense there if there's any Americans watching, but having said that, you need the headline because it's like a gate. And if you don't open the gate, and that's what the headline does, then you won't go any further. It's end of story. So just putting your job title on, for example, massive faux pas. No one cares about that, really. Like, so what, really?
Yeah.
So typically, if you can put something on which is not quirky, but just raises up, that's interesting. That would be enough because you probably go through and look at the profile then.
So do you think like results driven? So you would be like the problem that you solve for your clients or the result of working with you? Is that the sort of thing that you're suggesting there?
For sure. Yeah. There's no perfect. It's just got to be compelling, really. So I've used quite a few in the past, and certainly the results. Yeah, you can put that up there if you can sum it up in 235 characters. I think is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Right. So you can do that. You can just put your title, not job title necessarily, but what you stand for, who you work with, because then if the person looking at it happens to be that kind of person, that's a tick in the box. Yeah. So that's pretty cool if you can do that. And then an outcome or specifically what you do. A lot of people put on there what they do, which is fine. But so long as, sorry, I've got an itchy nose today. So long as when people see it, they think, yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Then you're okay. But increasingly people are being very picky about the invitations they accept, I think, and you've really got to put something on there that makes a difference.
Yeah, and sort of somebody can see that they are gonna have value connecting with you. You're not just going to try and sell to them. They're actually going to get something from you. They're going to receive goodness from you that's not
Yeah.
buy from this, buy this, buy this. Okay, perfectly. So
And not too much that it looks like you're going to pitch to them immediately, which is, you see this all the time. If I'd have connected with that lady this morning, nice as she was, no doubt, as a person, I reckon she'd have pitched to me like straight away. And I just didn't want that.
and the first message as soon as you accept, oh, it's my absolute pet hate.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we've got a good headshot. We're showing our best selves, getting our best angles in, and we've written a headline that's compelling. What's the second thing?
Okay, so the first 150 characters on your about section in the profile. Below that, LinkedIn cuts it off and it says, I think it's see more. Actually, I think it uses, when you click on see more, it brings it up. So there's no point having a really cool about section, which really brings out what you do and why people use you, and the differences between you and other people and how people engage with you, or the outcomes, whatever you want to put in there. There's no point doing that if they're not going to click on see more or not see it. Right. So the first 150 characters are brutally important. You really must put some effort into getting those, so that when someone reads those 150 characters, including spaces, they are compelled to press see more. Right. So you can pose a question. So that's a good one. So again, there's loads of different versions you can do. You can pose a question. You can just make a plain statement. Right? If you've got this problem, this is what I do to cure it. So you come straight out and say it. You can just make it not quirky necessarily, but
Intriguing.
intriguing, that someone looks at it and thinks, oh, go on then, I'll have a little look, a bit more of that, get more of that in me.
So, I mean, that's quite a difficult thing to do. So do you think if you wrote it and sent it to people who are already clients or in your target market and said, would this make you intrigued enough to click more? Do you think that's a good way of checking whether it works or not?
So that's a great suggestion, Kirsty, because I think the first practical thing to do that is, when just look at other people's profiles, go into them, you'll see the first 150 characters and see whether that makes you want to click further or not. Because if it doesn't, don't write anything like that. And if it does, write something more like that.
Yeah.
Literally 20 minutes going through random LinkedIn profiles would give you exactly the style and type of message that you want to write. And then you just get it out. It's dead easy. And then, as you say, just send it to a few people and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like 0 chance and 10 being 100%, would you likely click the see more to read more about me, and just see what they say? And ask them to be brutally honest, of course.
Of course. Brutal honesty is what we're always after when we ask for feedback. Okay. All right. So, I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? So you've got your headshot, compelling headline, your about me section on your profile is going to be good. So number 3, I think, is a really key point, and I think it's one of my favorites, which is, of course, always use an invitation message. Now, you have quite specific things on this, don't you?
Yeah, because we tested it. We did spend about 3 months trying a whole range of different formats, and essentially, I'm going to give you the format that worked best in a minute, but effectively, for all but one of the people that I've worked with, who found when he tested it that the default LinkedIn message was the best one for him.
That's so strange.
I know. Well, he's a good guy. He wouldn't lie to me, so that's what he said. But he just did it. But then you don't know. Maybe, like I said, if the job title just happened to resonate, who knows? Or maybe, I mean, he's an attractive-looking guy. Not my type, obviously, but maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But it worked for him. But you can test this, and I think it's a good idea. Everything that we talk about today, you can test it, and it's not difficult. Little spreadsheet with who you've invited, when you invited, whether they connected or not, what message you used. It's not rocket science, really. But we found when we started to tinker with these, I could push. There was a couple of things that we could do, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second, which pushed the connection rate up to about 54, 55%.
Okay.
And then we could push it up into the 90s, which is the last tip I'm going to give you today. Not every time, obviously, but consistently over a period of time, we were getting really, really good acceptance rates by doing this one thing. But the message is key. Now, this is the structure that worked best for us. Have you seen that research about the word because?
I have, but for those viewers who haven't, would you please share it with us?
Okay, I don't know whether you've heard this. If you have, just let me know in the comments. It'd be interesting to see whether it's just me that's read this. But essentially, if you use the word because in a request, then you're much, much more likely to get it. And the research was done, I think, all sorts of different things. But the one that got me the most was that some person was pushing in at the front of a queue of people waiting at the photocopy machine. And because they tried different becauses, and they found it didn't matter what they said. So you could push in and say, would you mind if I just push in at the front? I'm so sorry, I've just got some photocopying to do, which is obviously, but that was enough. That was enough. It was the same percentage of chances of people saying, yeah, of course you can, as opposed to clear off, there's a queue here, as if they use any other excuse. So the word because, and it was quite a significant difference, by the way, as well. So the word because, I know it is, yeah. So you need a grabber at the front of the LinkedIn message, because when LinkedIn tells you've got someone's invited you to connect, it will put the first line of the message so you can see it, and you can click to read more if you want. So you need a grabber. So if someone's looked at your profile on LinkedIn, say, which is a classic, you go in every day and looked at your LinkedIn profile, you think, oh yeah, that'd be interesting to connect with. So you just, oh, I see you dropped by my LinkedIn profile, which was interesting. Because, and then you go on to the next thing.
Or I noticed we commented on the same article.
Yeah, or yeah, that would work. Or I mean, I've seen one which I get a lot, which I think is generated by one of these auto inviters. I see we've got a lot of people in common.
Oh, I see that one quite a lot.
So
yeah.
Really, is that the best you can do? So I think you can do a bit better than that, really. But what you can say is, I see Fred blogs.
Yeah.
I worked with Fred at so-and-so, what a cool guy he is, or something. You only got 300 characters, I think, so you've got to be careful. But you just need something to grab their attention. That's all, really.
Mm-hmm.
Then the word because, and you can put pretty much anything you want after that, really. I usually say because of our shared interest in recruitment, because it's true.
Yeah.
Because I focus mainly on recruiters, their recruiter. I'm kind of interested in recruitment, as you know. So it makes a reasonable connection, really. But that, as a message, that structure as a message, you can tinker with it and play different things, I think actually works very well. And I'll tell you something else as well. Whatever you do, make it authentic. So don't make it tenuous. It's like, I once sat next to somebody at school who knew a person that you're connected to. You know what I mean? It's like, really, you can do better than that, I think.
Yeah, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be something.
Yeah, you can. Now, just leading on from this.
Yeah.
If you put a link, and this kind of goes what Karen said at the beginning. If you put a link to some of your content, that's the thing that pushed us to over 54%. So I'd say, look, I want to connect because we're in recruitment. I produce a lot of content, free content for people like you. Here's a link to have a look at it. Right? That was it, really. And that almost doubled the connection rates, because people go and they see that you're actually contributing to the market that you feed off, not just feeding off it. And I think it changes their perception of you. Clearly, the content's got to be half decent, but
Yeah, I think Joseph kind of made a good point here. It's when you're connecting, when you get a lot of connection requests, it's sometimes competitors trying to poach you, or, as we've mentioned on numerous occasions, it's people trying to sell to you, and people who are just going to be regularly like pitching to you. Whereas if you're pointing them to your content, you're sort of saying like, no, like, I add value. I'm giving you content. I'm making your life better. I'm making your life easier. I'm not just going to pitch to you.
Absolutely. And it made a big difference. And that number was consistent. That for me, yours might be different, but that was consistent for me. And it was pretty close to that, between 50 and 60% regularly. And we tried all sorts of different wordings. It didn't seem to make any difference. What seemed to make the big difference was the fact that it went to content, I think. And the content that we sent them to, we've got a content page with loads of stuff on it. I think the content that we sent him to is some of our best stuff. And I think he obviously knows what he's talking about. Go on then. Because you're just looking for that. Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, that's all you need, isn't it? Because, I mean, people always have the option to delete you if you keep on, which I have done. People who keep on pitching to me, I have removed them as connections. So you just kind of get past that first hurdle. And actually, Judith said she just used the "we have a mutual connection" on an invitation this morning, which was accepted, which is...
Maybe you do. I don't know. But maybe you've got a mutual connection. But I think if you mention them, it helps. It does help.
Yeah.
If you've got a mutual connection. And everything's good. There's no absolutes in any of this. But statistically wise, I think people are... Because these auto generators, these things you can just program and they just invite people. They'll pick something like that because it's generic, but it kind of creates a connection. That's all. Anyway,
I do think before we move on, Peter's had an excellent one here, which is I want to connect with you because I like your profile picture. I mean, people do use it, and Peter, did it work? That's the question. Like, you're asking us, did you accept them? Because I mean, it's nice to be complimented, but I'm not necessarily sure that a LinkedIn
nobody has
invitation.
ever said that to me. I tell you that now,
You're
Mr. Melty Face himself.
Melty face himself. Yeah. So Peter, did it work? Is the question we've got to ask.
Yeah, Peter, tell us. Let us know. We
Perfect.
need to know. Okay.
Okay. So we'll move on
Right.
to number 5.
Yeah, this is again. The research on this is there's quite a lot of it actually kicking around in different places. Although if you search on it, you won't find it itself, but it is part of things like emails and how to get your emails acted on and stuff, right? But people are drawn to a PS. It's the weirdest thing. If you write a letter to someone, an old-fashioned letter on paper, which I do from time to time, and put a PS in, everyone reads it. If you want something definitely read and acted upon, or increase your chances to be acting on, put it in a PS of an email. PS, we're having this event. I'd love you to come to it. Here's the link or something. People are drawn to PSs, and you can tell this as well. The American marketers who are really upon everything. I mean, they make
do
my
most of the
research
research.
look like kindergarten stuff, right? They use PSs a lot because they know it gets acted on. If you put a PS in the invitation, so whatever you put at the beginning, then put the PS at the invitation, and in that PS, this is very important. You demonstrate that you've read the profile. I noticed your values are this, which, as you can see, are very similar to mine. Or I noticed you're interested in so and so, and so I did that. Or I noticed you work at this, but anything really on their website, on their LinkedIn profile, or on their LinkedIn company page. You've got those 3 different sources. You just have to prove that you've read it. And I particularly like going onto the company page, LinkedIn website. There you go. Strapping into the words today. The website and looking at their values and their mission. Because if it talks to me, I won't do it if it doesn't, but if it speaks to me or if I can relate to it, then I'm totally into that. Certainly, if I put something on my website or on my company LinkedIn page or on my personal profile that happens to correspond, I'll definitely mention that. As you can see from my values, they're exactly the same as yours. Whatever. And you'll find that pushed it well into the 70s. I can't remember the exact figure, actually. I'd meant to write I got the spreadsheet out this morning, meant to write it all down, but I didn't do it, which is a bit naughty of me. But it's late 70s, say 77% or something, or whatever. 88.8% of all statistics are made up, aren't they?
I heard it was 174.
Yeah,
of all statistics
so,
made up,
but whatever it was in the 70s. And that really did have a big push on it, because I think the robots don't do that. Obviously, the robots can't do that. And it means I've taken time over it. I've taken time to look and follow and click and read. And so I'm serious about the connection. So if you're serious about the connection, put the time in. And that makes a big difference, actually.
Yeah, well, we often say, don't we, in order to build rapport, in order to kind of form a relationship with someone, you make them feel understood, valued, and special. And that PS is essentially doing all 3 of those things, isn't it, really?
Well, it certainly makes people feel special because you've taken time for them. Time is a really great way to communicate that someone matters to you, because it's probably the most valuable commodity that all of us have, because we all get the same and we can't get any more of it. So if you give some time to someone, that makes a difference to them. And showing that you've read something and really connected with it, I think makes a big difference.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Joanne agrees with you. She says PS is a good tip, thank you. So Mike, let's go on to the 6th one.
Okay, so this was the one that pushed us into the 90% bracket. So I know those people that I want to be connected with, because I've got a very clear idea on my ICP, ideal client profile. And within that, the persona within the ICP, the persona of the people I want to deal with, right? So I know exactly who they are. And so I'm very keen to connect, obviously. And so what I'll do to begin with is, this sounds terribly weird. I'm not going to use the word stalking, because I don't stalk, but I take an interest in what they publish.
Research.
Okay. Not lurk, then. Not lurk.
No. Okay. Research.
Anyway, so I take an interest in them. And basically all you do is you set up a spreadsheet, dead easy. You cut and paste the URL of their posts, not all their activity, because you get anything they've commented on and all that stuff. No, just their posts. and go in every week or so and just have a look. And if there's anything that speaks to me, so if I comment on any of your posts, it's because it's spoken to me, because it resonated with me, not because I'm trying to get to you. It's because I'm interested in it, right? So occasionally, you think, oh, yeah, that's interesting. You comment, and because I think it's an authentic comment and a genuine comment, I think very often they'll comment back or do something really. Now, I won't then react if it's just a like or anything like that. If they comment back, I'll comment back again. And if you write a comment with a question on, or you ask for something, you're more likely to get a bubble of interaction, right? The bigger the bubble of interaction, the more likely they are to accept an invitation to connect. Because the grabber in the invitation is, of course, the post.
Yeah.
Hey, it was great. I really enjoyed the post, and thanks for commenting back. And I thought it would be useful to connect because whatever it is. And particularly if you whack the PS on the back. By the way, I looked on your website and I saw this. Awesome. Or something. But it has to be genuine, though. Honestly, I can't stress that enough.
Authenticity is key.
It has to be authentic. If it isn't authentic, it's not going to work. I tell you that now. Right. But that is a big deal, and that will push you into the 90s. So if you're really, really, really keen to be connected with someone, take the time to spend some time on what they post and comment and read and be involved with them. Not too much, you can do
not every single thing they post, and just and make it authentic. Don't just be like, great post. Be like, I really like your point of view here.
Post. You can do it. You can, if you get one bubble of interaction, one comment basically to and fro. One of those is enough. Straight in, bashka. Looked at your profile. I think it'd be good to connect. Great comments or something, and the chances of being accepted then are very high.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. So I mean, Karen says that's a really good point. Thank you for sharing.
Karen.
Okay, Mike. So in a second, I mean, I'm just going to quickly run through all of those 6 again, just over the top, and then we're going to come to you for the way that we always do this, where we round off with the one tip. So
we're running out of time.
I know. First of all, we get a quality headshot and compelling headline. Then you make sure you use that 150 characters of your about section to create interest. You then go on to make sure that you use that invitation message properly. The grabber.
Test everything.
Yeah.
It works for us, and most of my clients I do it with, but test everything.
Yeah. Test everything and use and come up with what works for you. Finally, fourth, you point people to content. You make sure that they understand that you're not after them for one thing. You're adding value to them.
If you produce content, yeah.
Most people produce something of some sort, even if it's just a LinkedIn post that you've recently made. Include a PS. That's incredibly powerful, and goes a long way. And then finally, comment on their LinkedIn post before you invite them to connect. So, Mike, as per usual, I'm going to be coming to you, and I'm going to ask, what is, people are watching this, they're thinking, great, what's the first thing that they should do?
Okay, it's this, right? Just post more personal stuff on LinkedIn, right? Because there's all sorts of reasons for this. I'm not saying like, oh, well, I'm going to the dentist this afternoon. I'm not talking about that, but something that means something to you, something that connects with you and matters a lot, and that has got some kind of resonance with the audience. It's the resonance that matters. So, for example, I usually get 3,000-4,000, anywhere between 2,000 and 4,000 views on a post, right? A few weeks ago, before I went on my holidays, I just was knackered, had enough. So I put a post out there saying, hey, is it just me, or is everyone knackered and needs a holiday? And I just put a few things down there, asked a few questions. And he went mad. It was over 9,000. It's hedging towards 10,000. I looked this morning now, views, because it resonated. Right now, why is that important? 2 reasons. Firstly, if people do look at your profile, they'll see the kind of stuff that you're posting, and you're opening up about yourself as a person. You're not a machine. You're not someone that just wants to treat them as a money-making source. You're actually a person, and people like that. They get personally connected with that. But the other thing is that if you're working in a circle, in a community, and you want to connect with people in that community, you're probably already going to be connected with people in the same community, certainly in my case, right? So if one of your existing community likes or comments, that's much more likely to be seen by somebody else in the same community that they're connected to. Kind of that's what LinkedIn does. So you're getting yourself out there in front of people a lot more, and it's the personal stuff that gets the best likes, the best interactions, and by far and away the best views. So my advice is to start posting more personal stuff right now.
Perfect. Okay, and we have got a question, Mike, just at the end here. Peter's asked a question. If your connection request is pending, can you resubmit a request with a message withdraw?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it dies after 6 months. It expires, right? You can withdraw it anytime you want. You can just take it out. Your invitations, you can withdraw invitations, and then you can't do anything again for a month. I think it is maybe 6 weeks, a month, I think, and then you can resubmit the request. But if you do that, use a different message, obviously.
Perfect. Okay, fantastic. And for anybody who is wondering, Peter did accept that LinkedIn message where he was told his LinkedIn profile picture.
He's a good-looking guy. Why wouldn't you?
But there's been nothing after that, and we're all disappointed. Well, I wait on tender hooks, Peter, to see what happens next. I have to say. Okay, so I mean, I think today's been a really great session, and I thank you, Mike, for sharing your knowledge with us. Next week, I believe it's just me and Pete, and we're going to be talking about how you can make sure that the content that you're creating is actually, you know, that tip number 5, pointing them to your content, is actually useful and your network actually find it interesting.
Can I just say on that, I do a lot of work with content with my clients, right? It's very important. I'm very keen on content and I don't want noise. It's the single biggest question that we get asked. How can we produce content that actually connects with the audience? Massively important. I shall watch the recording of that.
Oh, I was gonna say, because you'll be playing golf, I believe, at the time.
No, I'm running a workshop, my dear.
Oh, well, it's one or the other. 50-50. So then we have got as well a message from Neil saying he doesn't usually watch it, but he has to say he's enjoying this. Thank you very much. And we will say this before I close it off. We have we always try and make sure that this content is actually valuable for you guys. So if anybody has anything that they think they would like us to talk about or they're having as a problem right now, please let us know either in the comments or as a direct message to either us. And we are having a couple of people saying that they never get the pop-up for the remind me.
Because LinkedIn's rubbish. That's why.
We'll look into that for you, but we do believe it is a LinkedIn problem. But I will have a secondary look for you, Sean.
I have a plan on that, which I shall do. And if it works, I'm going to share with you all. And it's not just about, it's a piece of research that we're going to do. It's not just about LinkedIn Lives for those people that don't have LinkedIn Lives. It's all content. So watch this space.
Perfect. All right, guys. So thank you very much for watching. And I believe we will see, well, I will see you next week.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, guys. I'll be at the coast as well, by the way, then. So, awesome. Sunglasses, sea, dolphins, everything. It'll all be there. Thank you very much, Kirsty. As usual, the Kirsty Ames Show. Round of applause for Kirsty.